I thought I had, okay. I call the Thursday, May 25th, 2023 meeting of Cumberland Planning Board to order. Roll call. Ms. Vrashich.
Here.
Mr. McDonald. Here. Mr. Butler. Here. Mr. Scown.
Here.
Mr. Bush. Here. Ms. Reese.
Here.
Absent right at the moment is Mr. D'Ambrosio and Mr. Costa, and the chair is present. Before we begin, I just have a short announcement, and that is that this meeting is also being held virtually on the Zoom platform. If you have an interest in any item on the agenda, we will turn on your audio and promote you to a panelist as that item is called. If you would like to comment or ask a question, please raise your hand by clicking the little button labeled raise hand. The chairman opens up the floor for the public comment.
Mr. Chair, could I just add, because we're using a different account, so for members of the public who want to speak, just scroll down to the bottom of your screen, and there's in the middle, there's a thing called reactions, and you click reactions, and then you can click raise your hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Modica. Approval of the March 30th, 2023 regular meeting and the April 17th, 2023 special meeting of the Cumberland Planning Board. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions?
I believe there's a correction, Mr. Chairman. It says February 17th for the Lonsdale meeting. I believe that was April 17th.
Mr. Modica, is that correct?
That's a friendly amendment.
Okay. So noted.
I missed that in here.
The date.
The date's wrong on the minutes. It should be April.
Okay. Okay. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the notes as they are.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, I got a second. Second by Mr.
This whole
McDonald.
side of the table.
Seconded by the whole, my right side. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Next item of business is a zoning recommendation. Zoning Board of Review, applicant owner James and Jennifer Bauer and Christopher and Deborah Keevy, 4220 Diamond Hill Road, Assessors Plat 46, Lot 17, and 4224 Diamond Hill Road, Assessors Plat 46, Lot 63, and that is an R1 zone with water and no sewer. Mr. Modica.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is an administrative subdivision to move a side lot line to bring the setback of the shed at 4224 Diamond Hill Road into conformance. Since both of these lots are non-conforming by area, the dimensional variance is required. In this case, the larger non-conforming lot will get a little bit smaller, and the smaller non-conforming lot will get a little larger and less non-conforming. I just want to make the board aware that as part of the edits that we're undertaking the zoning ordinance, the planning department is going to recommend that subdivisions like this, where lot lines get proportionally shifted, that they be allowed without review from the planning board or the zoning board, that they can be administratively approved. But we're not at that point.
Okay.
So it still needs your referral to the zoning board. But the planning department finds that this subdivision and the request for dimensional variance is consistent with the goals and purposes of the comprehensive plan, and we're recommending forwarding a favorable recommendation to the zoning board of review.
Board, have any questions or comments? Okay, I do have one comment, and since this is a plot plan, I think it would be a good idea that even though it is noted on the plan what the zoning setbacks are, that they should be drawn on the plan, especially in the situation here. We've got an existing shed. We want to make sure that everything conforms to cover zoning, so the applicant doesn't have to come back again and say, oh, by the way, we forgot about this and we need to have another variance. So I'd like the zoning board to be aware of that.
Okay. I mean, you can make that a condition of approval if you're going to approve. And the applicant's also here if you have any questions for Mr. Bauer.
The applicant's here, if you have anything to add. Okay,
Okay,
I do
Mr.
not.
Bauer, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
I do not have anything to add. I have no questions.
okay, thank you.
Okay,
Just for the record, I just want to note that Mr. Costa and Mrs. Imbrowska entered the chambers at 6:37 PM. So if there are no other comments, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, this one, does the shed now, it says meet the. You turn it right on? I think I did, sorry. Does the shed meet the rear yard setback? Or do they need variance for that?
I don't believe it does, but that's a pre-existing condition.
All right, fine.
No, it was just a question I had, so that's something that the zoning board, if they think that it's prudent. But I think it's always a good idea on a plot plan to always show the actual physical setback lines on the plan. So do I have a motion then?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion in regards to 4224 Diamond Hill Road, Assessors Plat 46, Lot 63, that we send a recommendation to the Zoning Board of Review that the proposed dimensional variance is consistent with the goals and purposes of the comprehensive plan, and also suggest to the Zoning Board that they have the applicant update the plan to show the setback lines.
I have a motion by Mr. Butler. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bush. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. The next item of business is public meeting, development plan review, project name J.J. Duffy, funeral home, applicant owner Menden Holdings LLC, address 757 Menden Road, plat 16, lot 893. The applicant requests development plan review approval to construct a crematorium. This item was continued from the March 30th, 2023 meeting. I understand that there is a request for a continuance.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
The only thing-
To the meeting of June.
To
Meeting of
June?
Yeah.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we continue the matter to the regularly scheduled June meeting.
I have a motion by Mr. Butler,
Second.
second by Ms. Frashek. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries. Item number 5 is a public informational meeting, major subdivision / master plan, owner, applicant, Laurie A. Shaken, Deborah A. Mitchell, and Albert A. Shaken Jr. Project name is Shaken Acres, location is 2945 Menden Road, assessors plat 37, lot 852. Zoning is R1 with public water and public sewer, proposed parcel A, R1 with no water and public sewer, proposed parcels B and C. The applicants request a waiver from subdividing the property as a conservation development, zoning Article 2. The waivers from the land development and subdivision regulations, Mr. Modica.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the applicants here are seeking master plan approval, subdivide this property into 3 lots. It's a non-conforming lot of record that has 3 single-family houses on it. They want to correct the situation by having each house on its own lot that would meet all zoning requirements. The only physical improvements that are going to occur as part of the project will be some improvements to part of the driveway and the addition of a cul-de-sac. The driveway and cul-de-sac will be improved to town standards, and when they're approved by Public Works, the town is going to take over the road, so it'll be a public road. The engineering of the roadway and the cul-de-sac, any associated drainage improvements will be reviewed by Public Works, and the preliminary and will be presented to the planning board at preliminary plan. So this master plan stage is more of conceptual review of creating 3 lots out of 1. So first, they need a waiver from our conservation development ordinance. This ordinance kicked in because the project is classified as a major subdivision due to the waivers they need from the land development and subdivision regulations, not because they're building any houses. So in this case, we feel the ordinance is not applicable, and we're recommending the planning board waive this requirement. The applicants need several waivers from our regulations. Some of these requirements, like right-of-way width, sidewalks, cul-de-sacs, street trees, these are things we would normally require in any new development. We're not recommending them here, where this project is basically laying down new lot lines on a property and opening a road, which is only going to serve 3 houses. The one waiver for creating the through lot, where there's a public road at the front and back of the lot at parcel A, this is necessary so that the other 2 parcels, B and C, have their required road frontage. So the planning department finds the subdivision is consistent with the goals and purposes of the comprehensive plan, and we are recommending 3 affirmative votes from the planning board. The first is to waive zoning article 11.1 for conservation developments, waivers from the land development and subdivision regulations, and approval of the master plan.
Does the board have any questions or comments?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Modica.
Thank you, and I believe we have the attorney for one of the applicants,
Yes,
Mr.
please.
Zangari.
Good evening, members of the Planning Board. Christopher J. Zangari, 935 Jefferson Boulevard, Warwick, Rhode Island, for the applicants and landowners. This is a little bit of a unique situation, but in a good way for your purposes, because it's, as Mr. Modica said, and it was, and very well said, that there are 3 existing dwelling structures on 9.27 acres, and they've been there for 60 to 70 years. And it's owned by family members, and 2 of those family members are here this evening, 1 isn't. There are siblings. They inherited it from their parents. And they seek to subdivide the property and basically not, as Mr. Modica said, not lay down any new structures, but to just delineate so that they can each own in private fashion that particular parcel of land with the dwelling structures that are already there. There's already a road that will need to be improved, but it's a pretty significant and substantial roadway already. And that's why they need the waivers. But kind of taking a step back, I would like to thank the town planner. They've done extensive work. The town solicitor has done and participated in the negotiations and getting us to this point and done an excellent job. And without their help, it would have been far more difficult. But what we seek to do tonight in getting your approval of the conceptual plan is to take what is already there and just say, it's now 3 separate instead of 1 non-conforming. You're going to bring this property into conformance, which is a goal of zoning. So we have 2 positive things that can happen, which is we conform more with the zoning ordinances, and we give the siblings what they desire, which is private ownership of the individual lots. The road will be improved. So, I mean, if you look at it that way, it's kind of a win-win-win for everybody. The explanation that's given in the staff report is excellent. It's very detailed and complete. If you have any questions, we would certainly entertain them.
Who is responsible for the road improvements?
It's going to be the owners, the siblings, yes. They're responsible for the cost.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there a time frame on that being completed?
No, we haven't discussed that. And it hasn't been discussed with planning either.
Okay.
But we'd have to complete the job. In other words, in the time that we don't want the approvals to lapse, obviously.
Yeah, we have to get to preliminary plan first. They have to show us what they're proposing, because there is a little slope up to Minden Road, so we need to work that out with Public Works.
Okay, thank you.
So if I have this correct, we have one lot, we're dividing it into three?
That's correct, Mr. Costa.
What are we doing with the empty lot?
There are no empty lots.
Oh, it's looking at the plan here.
House here.
Okay, all right. Thank you, never mind.
You're welcome.
I didn't have that. Let's look at this one.
Any other questions? Thank you. Is anyone
Thank you,
else?
Mr. Chairman.
I know the, a couple of the property owners are here. Do they have anything else they would like to add?
I can answer any questions. I did run in the subdivision and,
Laura, if you want to speak, come to the mic.
I'm Lori Shaken, and
Little nervous?
no,
Okay.
not really, no, this is regular, but no, I just want to answer the question about the improvement for the road. Precippi is running that. That was Norbert Therian's, he was in charge of that, and then they have an engineer, and that's all as soon as possible gonna take place. Like, the preliminary plan comes, then the engineer shows what will happen with the road according to what the town is requiring. And then, a company, I have one actually in mind, and then a couple, probably a good idea to get a bid and ready to go forward with that. Because it's almost a road now, so it's not gonna be that much different, except the town is gonna take it over as a public way. Okay?
Very good.
Thank you.
Is there
So
anyone
if there's anyone on Zoom who wants to speak, you can go down to the, well, I'm going to unmute everyone, it might be easier. No. Let me take that back. If you want to speak, go down to reactions, and there's a little raise hand button you can hit if you have any comments on this matter. And we don't, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McDonald?
I'm willing to make a motion.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that the board approve master plan approval for 2945 Mendon Road, Assessors Plat 37, Lot 852, and that a series of waivers be granted as they are outlined in the memorandum from Mr. Stevens and Mr. Modica dated the 18th of May, 2023 to the board. More specifically, a waiver for the conservation development as the project involves not proposed but existing homes, lots design standards, so that parcels B and C can be brought into existence, street right-of-way, allowing the existing 40 feet and not the required 50 feet under the regulations. Waiver on the sidewalk installation as it only serves, the right-of-way only serves 3 homes. Cul-de-sac design, but that the applicant will provide a fully paved cul-de-sac instead of a landscaped island to facilitate snow removal at the request of the Public Works Director. And a waiver on the street trees, because there are already plenty of existing trees and vegetation throughout the property. And the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. McDonald. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Costa. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries. Thank you, we'll see you at preliminary.
Yes, thank you very much.
Chris.
Quick and painless.
It was painful, painless. You're welcome. Item number 6, Town Council recommendation, proposed Arnold Mills Historic District planning department proposes to include additional properties in the locally designed Arnold Mills Historic District. Mr. Stevens?
Mr. Chairman, I object to these proceedings. Little levity, sorry. Yeah, right. Tonight, the Planning Department and the Historic District Commission are requesting a favorable recommendation to the Town Council for establishing a Arnold Mills local historic district overlay zone. It's been on the table for many years. The Arnold Mills was, I think, a National Register district established in the 70s, I believe. Before I make my comments, I'd like to have Elizabeth Warburton, who is a consultant to the town, make a presentation about the historical significance of Arnold Mills.
Do I need to unmute you, Liz?
Hi, Glenn. Are you able to hear me?
I don't think you're muted. I think you're good. Can you share screen?
Yes. Are you able to see and hear me?
Yes.
Yes, you can.
There we go. That looks great.
Okay. Good evening, and thank you for having me. As Jonathan mentioned, my name is Liz Warburton, and I am a preservation planner at Epsilon Associates. The town of Cumberland hired Epsilon as a consultant in August 2022. We were retained to determine the feasibility of expanding the existing Arnold Mills local historic district, which currently consists of one building. Much of the Arnold Mills neighborhood was listed in the National Register in 1978 as the Arnold Mills Historic District. Our scope of work included an evaluation of that documentation to determine whether the National Register district boundaries could serve as a guideline for an expanded local historic district. We completed field survey of the National Register district with Glenn Modica and collaborated with the town on a public meeting to engage and educate Arnold Mills homeowners about local historic district designation. We prepared a written report for the town summarizing our findings and making recommendations for the town's consideration. To provide context for the project, I will briefly share a historical overview of the Arnold Mills neighborhood. The village of Arnold Mills and the surrounding area in East Cumberland consist of 18th and 19th century residences and 19th century civic buildings like the prominently located Arnold Mills Methodist Church. Arnold Mills contains architecturally significant buildings, such as the house on Sneech Pond Road, pictured here at center, which retains its Greek Revival door surround and an interesting shed roof dormer over the principal entrance. Arnold Mills is perhaps best known for its early rural industry, around which the village developed in the 19th century. The village supported a sawmill, grist mill, and machine shop, which retained their small-scale, community-based operations, even as much larger mill complexes were developed around Cumberland at that time. There has been some loss of historic resources in Arnold Mills, notably the circa 1825 Metcalf machine shop, shown here at left, that burned in 1987. Despite this, Arnold Mills retains its rural character and highly intact 18th and 19th century buildings. The area retains a high level of integrity in its setting and the design, materials, and workmanship of the surviving buildings. In addition to significant buildings, Arnold Mills contains a late 19th century Pratt Pony Truss Bridge constructed by the Boston Bridge Company on Sneech Pond Road. Many of the buildings and structures in Arnold Mills can be considered individually significant in their own right, but the village is important because of its stylistic cohesion and the variety of resource types that survive. The built environment of the village is able to effectively share its early rural industrial heritage and serves as a case study for the historical and architectural evolution of the area. The holistic significance of Arnold Mills is one of the reasons it is listed in the National Register. Arnold Mills is considered significant at the local level for its architecture, industry, and religious histories. The examples shown here demonstrate the architectural variety of the district and its overall high level of physical integrity. The building on the far left at 735 Nate Whipple Highway is the only building in the existing local historic district. The National Register nomination from 1978 included 31 resources in its inventory. The district is non-contiguous, which is somewhat unusual and means that it contains areas that are not geographically connected. This is a National Register map of the Arnold Mills Historic District with its 3 sections outlined in blue. At the top, you have Sneech Pond Road and Nate Whipple Highway extending south. And on the left, you have Abbott Run Valley Road. You'll see in the bottom right that one parcel is highlighted in orange. This is the Captain John Walcott House on Nate Whipple Highway, which is currently the single building local historic district. Epsilon evaluated the existing National Register boundaries and documentation and completed field survey to assess change in the district over time. As I mentioned, several resources inventoried in the original nomination do not survive. However, the district is otherwise highly intact. The National Register District provides a clear template for an expanded Arnold Mills Local Historic District. Epsilon provided an analysis of properties within the district and recommended the town follow these boundaries for its expanded local historic district. There are 2 outstanding examples of late 18th century Cape Cod residences that are adjacent to the National Register District, noted here in orange at the center, that we also recommend for inclusion in an expanded local historic district. We provided a detailed analysis of our methodology and recommendations to the town in a written report. Over the course of the project, we conducted a thorough assessment of the Arnold Mills area. Our recommendation to the town is that Arnold Mills is architecturally and historically significant, worthy of preservation, and a good candidate for an expanded local historic district. Local historic districts, as you know, encourage and enable the preservation of historic places and distinct community character. They allow property owners and municipalities to work together to reach shared goals and give property owners an active voice and role in the development of historic areas in their communities. Local historic districts are administered according to town regulations with open public processes. The town of Cumberland employs a full-time preservation planner to assist local historic district homeowners, and the town has a strong track record of 35 years of experience in administering local historic districts. Cumberland's HGC is collaborative, and after working with property owners on design review applications, has a 100% approval rate. Arnold Mills is an important historic resource to the town of Cumberland, and its intact physical heritage makes it an excellent candidate for inclusion in an expanded local historic district. And I'll turn it back over to Jonathan, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Board have any questions? Any comments? Mr. McDonald?
Please, thank you.
I'm not opposed to this, but perhaps for my own edification, where is the line if a property owner within a historic district wants to make modifications to the exterior of the building? For instance, if they have clapboard and they want to put up shingle first, do they have to, does that trigger the matter going before the commission to make a decision, or?
Yeah, so the jurisdiction of the local historic district is over exterior alterations, additions, or new builds.
Okay.
It doesn't regulate paint colors, and but the Historic District Commission would have to approve a change from shingles to clapboards or vinyl siding or windows. And I think Elizabeth mentioned that as we talked to the local HDC, they have approved 100% of all applications over the last 35 years, but it brings property owners and the experts to the table to figure out how best to accommodate improvements to the property.
Okay, thank you.
Liz, that was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
And hopefully she'll be available if there are any other questions. So the town in June 2022 received a grant from the Rhode Island Historical Preservation and Heritage Commission for a survey and a local district proposal, which Epsilon performed for us. The survey was done in November 2022. We had our first public meeting in December 2022 at the Methodist Church, and there wasn't a lot of heat on at that meeting. It was rather chilly, got everybody's attention. It was attended by Councilman Schmidt and the Rhode Island Historical Preservation Heritage Commission. And we did a direct mail and contact for that. We've done additional direct mailings because what we wanted to communicate to these 31 property owners is that we wanted their input. We appreciate that this would be zoning directed to their property, and that we would offer them an opt-out opportunity if they internalized all the information we gave them. We decided they didn't want it, then they could opt out, and we would take their names or their properties off the proposal. And in that regard, and also the Historic District Commission went out and personally canvassed these property owners, attempted to knock on their door and talk to them. So, and one of those mailings was a certified mail, because we want to make sure that we had a record that they had been contacted. Our second meeting was in March 2023, and it was a Zoom meeting, and we brought in a national expert, Donovan Rakema, who of Place Economics, who has been featured all over the country, testifying to the advantages to a property owner for a local historic district zoning, because somebody can't tear down an old valuable historic property next door down the street, or muck it up with vinyl siding or whatever. It helps your property values more than if you were not in a local historic district. So for those who say, I don't want, the Black Hawk helicopters coming in and telling me what to do in their property, 2 points. Number one is you're benefiting financially. Number two is the track record of the Historic District Commission is you come on in and tell us what you want. Let's figure it out. We have experts who probably have best practices that are going to be protective of the historic quality and not break your bank. And I was on the Historic District Commission in Cranston for 3 years, and it was amazing how this dialogue benefited all parties. There was an appreciation by property owners, and also a respect for the engagement that took place. I think Cumberland has already 8 historic districts, high quantity of historic districts. So as Liz said, the town's got a very good track record, and it's appropriate that this small node of early American Industrial Revolution area is certainly worthy. So we are asking for your favorable recommendation of the council. And then going forward, assuming that you do that, the council will have the ordinance committee review this, because it's a zoning ordinance amendment, and then it would go to the full council, where property owners would be notified by direct mail. In fact, anybody within 200 feet of this, because it's a zoning ordinance amendment. I'm happy to answer any questions.
What have questions from Mr. Stevens? Mr. DeRosa?
So you've communicated with all of the homeowners within the proposed district?
Yes.
And
By direct mail, by certified mail, by personal outreach. We've talked to the Methodist Church. They're all in. There's some Pawtucket Water Supply Board. We met with them by Zoom, and I wouldn't say they're enthusiastic, but they've been notified. I mean, their mission is not to be a property manager, but they do have 2 very important properties, one of which is both are on a leasehold situation, which seems to be kind of ongoing. So they're see how it goes there.
do you have buy-in from the homeowners, or How's the
It's an
response?
opt-out proposition. So we've certified mail, direct mail, personal attempt to contact. They're going to be notified by through the zoning ordinance enactment process. So if they don't want to be in, they have every opportunity to request that.
Okay, and so far it seems like it's going in a good direction.
I would say yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Anyone else? Oh, I haven't opened up the floor yet. I just want to make sure anyone else on the board? Okay. So at this point, I will open the floor for public comment. So ma'am, please come to the podium and give us your name and address for the record.
I have not done this before, so.
But the lady that was here earlier, it was painless, I assure you.
I'm Wendy Jenks. If you knew Craig Johnson, he was my late brother.
Oh, okay.
It has not been written up. I don't know if it was known. I think the Historic District Commission knows, but if there was a problem getting the word through to my residents, that's why. And he would have gotten the letters probably in December, and he was not well in December. He passed away in late December. So I got the certified letter last week, I guess, last Thursday maybe.
Probably.
So I'm just coming up to speed. But what I just want to have a couple, he was the one that dealt with all these things. And I'm just wondering, is there a map somewhere or online that I can get up to speed on? And unfortunately, I couldn't find my letter for tonight that had the full explanation. Is that possible? Maybe not tonight, or if I can catch up.
Yeah, I mean, if you can, I'll give you my card. If you want to email me, I can email you the whole report with maps. I'm Glenn.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Do you have the email?
Yeah, I will catch up
Okay.
after the meeting. I don't want to hold anything up.
Yeah.
But
I'll show you everything we got.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
I do remember your brother. He was very active in historic.
Yes,
Things.
that's putting it mildly, yeah.
Right, because I met him at Arnold's, the farm, Franklin Farm.
Franklin Farm, yeah.
Mr.
He
Franklin
he worked with the Historic Preservation Commission on getting the roof done on the barn. And he's worked on other projects locally and whatnot.
I was very active at the Franklin Farm, and
Yeah,
I wore a number of different hats there. So I am very sorry for your loss.
yeah, and so, yeah, and when I got the letter, I was like, oh, that was his gig.
Yeah,
So I'm just gonna try to get up to speed.
okay.
But thank you for your time.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Certainly. Floor is yours.
Yes. My name is Sandy Shock. I'm Vice Chairman of the Historic District Commission. And I just want to tell you, we all got involved in the survey for Arnold's Mills and talk about the proposal of making it into an historic district. And people asked a few questions about, well, what's the process like to make improvements or changes and so forth? And then they understood and they said, well, that's wonderful. And we think just about, I didn't get anything negative. They just loved the idea of preserving what attracted them to come and live there to begin with. So it went very well from my perspective and those of us who did the survey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Modica, anybody in the queue?
We have one person I don't recognize, so if there's anyone out there on Zoom that wants to speak, scroll down to the bottom of your screen, click on reactions, and click raise your hand, and then you'll be allowed to speak. And there's no takers, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Then I will close the open portion of this meeting. And Ask the board, what is their pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we send a recommendation to the town council that the proposed Arnold Mills Historic District zoning ordinance is consistent with the goals and purposes of the comprehensive plan.
I have a motion by Mr. Butler.
Second?
Second by Mr. D'Ambrosio. Yes. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Item number 7, public hearing, community development block grant CDBG application program year 2022. Mr. Modica.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is the first of 2 public hearings. This hearing is basically to announce that the town will be applying for a community block grant. And these grants, the intention of the grants is to benefit low and moderate income populations. Previous grants have been the Amaral building right across the way. We received a $1 million grant. We improved the senior center. We rehabilitated the bus shelter over there. And we fund Project Learn, also known as Community Care Alliance. And they do English as second language classes and workshop training. So basically, this is just to announce that the town will be applying and to solicit any ideas from the board or anyone from the public about what we should apply for. And there will be a second public hearing before town council where we will present what those projects are with a dollar amount. So just open it up.
Does the board have any comments or questions?
So the planning board doesn't have to take action on this.
Right.
It's more informational to let everybody know.
Glenn, when's the next hearing?
I'm sorry?
When's the next public hearing?
It's going to be at the town council meeting on the 3rd Wednesday of June. So June 21st will be the second public hearing where the specific information of the projects will be presented.
So do you want recommendations now, or do you want it at that meeting? I mean, not tonight, I meant during the period between now and June 21st.
It's always helpful if you want to come to a town council meeting or go on Zoom. You know, we'll distribute to everyone what those projects are going to be.
Okay.
In that case, is there anybody in the queue that wishes to speak?
We still have one person I don't recognize, so if you want to speak, there's still, go to the bottom, hit reactions and raise hand, and you can speak on this matter. But nope, there's silence.
Well, I guess what we have to do now is put on our thinking caps and submit any ideas that we might have for the CDBG. So it includes infrastructure and programs or activities?
I'm sorry, I didn't describe what they are. Right, it's public facility improvements, infrastructure. It's like public facilities like the Amaral building next door, like the senior center. It can include drainage or streets in low to moderate income areas. It includes programs, which is Community Care Alliance, which does the English as second language program. It can include, job training, homeless assistance, things like that. So there's that. So there's the bricks and mortar kind of projects and more the programming kind of projects.
So it's not really limited to just infrastructure. It's a number of different,
As long as it benefits the low, moderate, which is down here. The senior center benefited seniors who are presumed to be in that category. And of course, our building over here is going to serve that community.
so it's not townwide, it's basically focused on the valley.
The valley is geographically, it can be the valley, but it can be other places in town that serves an underserved population.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
So that leaves us to public comment. Is there any public comment? And if there's none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Rashid. Motion adjourned by Ms. Rashid, seconded by Mr. Scown. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.